See, it usually takes a couple minutes for people to come in. You know what? Maybe I will take this time. Hey, Dylan, how are you? Levon, Stacy. All right, I'm starting to see people come in. Welcome to the Sunday night wonderful world of Generation X. Same bat time as we say new bat channel. Michelle, how are you? Marie, good to see you. How are you guys? Kristen, how are you? Hello, everybody. Raylene, everybody is coming in. Cindy Adams, I see you. Dylan again. Kyle, Monica, how is everybody? I hope you guys had a great week. Stacy, I was on this side of the house last Sunday, and for the foreseeable future, it's going to be YouTube is kind of our new home for the time being. There's more trust here. Uh, Heavenly 80, how are you? Tammy Owens, I see you. Tanya, how are you? Daniel, good evening, everybody. Hope you guys had a good week. It's been interesting for me, as I'm sure a lot of you guys know. It's still very, very hot over here. I'm in the Carolinas. I actually was finishing up that mowing my grass, but I'm trying to do it in 2 sessions because it's hot. And I just did the backyard today, and I got to tell you, I'm having a hard time. I even took a cold shower, and I am not cooling down. Can't seem to get my core temperature to be down where I want it. Very, very, very hot. Zuck sucks. Yeah, I'd go out of my way to get fuck Zuck trending at this point. I'm not a fan at all. And somebody texted me earlier again today asking, is there nothing they can do? Since obviously, I'm not fraudulent. I am who I am. But I got to tell you guys, it's Terminator out here. We are seeing the future that we saw play itself out on TV. I'm sorry, in movies play out in real time. There is nobody driving the car. A lot of these tech companies have completely turned the wheel over to automation in a huge way. Even my email that came out that said that I was fraudulent said, and I quote, our technology discovered fraudulent and deceptive content, and our technology took action. Wasn't even a person, but enough about that. I'm not wasting any time talking about Zuckerberg or Facebook or any of that. You guys know where to find me. You found me here. We're here now, and we're just gonna keep growing it. We're gonna go where we're wanted. Alicia, how are you? Good to see you. Thank you for your membership. Jason, how are you? Yeah, I don't like being where I'm not wanted. Screw them. At some point, we're going to get our community so large that they'll be begging for us to really grow our channel over there. And at that point, we'll tell them where they can go. Probably not, but it's good to dream. So hopefully everybody's doing really well. I'm trying to get my computer up and running, but my fingers are just not doing it. Try that. Try that. There we go. So let's talk all things Generation X. I had time this week finally to sit down and watch all of the Brats. How come you don't have a Southern drawl? Because I grew up in Rochester and Buffalo, New York. So I'm from the Canadian part of New York State, and they don't drawl up there. Thank you so much, Tanya. I appreciate it. Sheila, how are you? Glad we could rally again. Blessed to have you guys here. Stacy, I see you. Brian, I see you. The bearded and tattooed guy, God bless, man. Thank you so much. Love the channel, brother. A Zennial. I got to tell you, you Zennials, you were Gen X. I don't know why they wanted to make a small group even smaller, but Generation X, back when we were the 13th generation, back when we were the slackers, the latchkey generation, the MTV generation, those are the words they used to describe us before they ever said Generation X, which came along in the 90s after a book. But at that time, we were 1980, 1981, all the 1961, I'm sorry, all the way to 1985. Canadian part of New York. Yeah, Vales, because Buffalo and Rochester, we drink more Canadian beer up there than we do American. Plus, all of us kids, once we hit 19, realized we could just hop the border, which was like an hour that way, and we could drink without needing fake ID. But yeah, Zennials, here's my deal. Not that I hold the key to the gate, I don't. But if you experienced what we experienced, if you have that sentimentality that we had to figure ourselves out, we had to do our own thing, we grew up largely unsupervised. If that was your life, if you drank from the garden hose outside because that's the only water we had access to, if you were out all day and only in the summers came home when our parents either yelled for us or the streetlights came on, if that stuff makes sense, that's Gen X stuff. Absolutely, Rodolfo, free range. People use feral. My friend Matt really has a theory on that. He's like, we weren't feral because we weren't necessarily wild and uneducated and just lashing out at everything. We were free range. We were left to go figure it out on our own. I like that. Back to the 80s. Shout out to 80s fans on the channel. Back to the 80s is an awesome radio station. If you guys want to click and follow that, talk about all things 80s and music, pretty damn cool. Mulberries rock, life before the internet, and life during the internet. So when we look at Gen X, we talked about, I went on a quick live earlier this week, and that chat room I kind of called AOL chat room, ICQ chat room 2024. We did have internet. We were the pioneers of it. And we enjoy, I mean, I really remember getting excited going to GeoCities web pages and trying to program in HTML. You ask kids today that say they know internet, say they know tech, ask them how many computer languages they studied, they learned before the age of like 19. I mean, we learned BASIC, we learned Pascal, I learned Metcom Modula 2. I mean, so many languages that were actual programming, and then we built web pages. You know, we got on there as young kids, young adults, and made our own web pages and know what's behind the source. I remember putting dirty little messages in the source, and I don't know if you can even still do it, but if you went to the source of a web page, you'd see some messages in there. Tron, we're going to Disney soon, and my daughters really want to ride the Tron ride, but what they don't realize, does anybody remember what Tron is? Tron is turning reporting on and off. There's a Tron, Tron, and a trough, Troff, and it's just basic computer module, but basic language. I wonder if anybody knows that anymore. Mark learned RPG, COBOL, CL, BASIC. I remember Tron. Awesome movie with Jeff Bridges, but it was also DOS. It was programming. I love watching your videos. It reminds me of my childhood. I was born in 83. The older I get, the more I cherish my childhood. And not in a, oh, things were better when I was a kid. I'm not slamming kids today. I hope they love every second of their childhood. I helped create that. I've got two daughters, 120, 112. We created the childhood they're going to remember, and we did it with rules that didn't apply to us because we know better. And I always say that there are laws that prevent us from truly raising kids today the way we were raised. But that said, our childhood was special. I think everybody's is. And when younger people come at me and say, you know, we love our childhood too, or we did a lot of that stuff too, the only thing I tell them is that's great. I don't know that. I didn't live your childhood. I lived mine. We're not trying to whitewash your childhood away and tell you guys have a crap childhood. We're just talking about ours. It's kind of that, guys, the adults are talking right now. We're talking to each other. We're not speaking down to them. And for those younger kids who had grandparents raising them that kind of grew up the way we did, that's awesome. I love that. 1 gig of memory, you'll never need that much. Yeah, and how many of us are going to terabytes now? Hey, from Indy, Amy, how are you? Great to see you. A lot of stuff stank, but glad nothing is on camera, or not everything is on camera. True, and I cherish the stuff that kind of is. I really, really like it when I find stuff that's on video, because here's the deal. We've got pictures, some. There's always that one girl. So I have pictures Bearded and tattooed guys, people may look back on childhood. I still live my childhood with my daughter. Dude, that is so the truth. I ended my live earlier in the week, a little earlier than I wanted, because my 12-year-old said they were playing Manhunt outside and they wanted me to play. I'm still playing. I refuse to not play. I look at this as us all getting together and playing. The videos I make, it's me playing. I still want to imagine things. I still want to play. My dad at my age was done playing. Let's be honest. Our dads and moms 20 years from our age were probably done playing. I don't want to be done playing. Sheila says, Kristen, oh my God, what was the accounting program? Q something. That sounds familiar. Riding in the back of trucks, sitting on the wheel humps, best seat in the back. Gen X got older, but we never grew up. We never grew up and we've always been grown up. That's the contradiction. When you stop playing is when you grow old. Michelle, I couldn't agree more, and I pray I never grow old. But we were a contradiction. We were told to act our age, and then we're never really allowed to be an age. And now we're kind of rebelling and saying, listen, you expected me to be responsible when I was 10 and 12 and responsible for my siblings. And girls were babysitting strangers' kids and being responsible for them. We knew consequences. And again, this is no slam on kids today. I'm just talking about our stuff. I'm so confused. I'm 46. Am I Gen X? Okay. The textbook definition of Generation X, according to today's sociologists, is that you had to be born between 1965 and 1980. So from 1981 until 96 would technically be millennials. But those are just numbers and they change them. Some say that from 78 to 83 are Zennials. It just depends. And it doesn't matter. Even within us Gen Xers, those of you guys that are the 65 babies, you guys had a little bit different childhood than us 70 babies. And we had a little bit different childhood than the 80 babies. And I am sorry, I am still sweating. I told you early people that signed on that I mowed my lawn today and it's like 94 and I showered. I just can't get my core temperature down. I feel like a 54-year-old woman going through hot flashes right now. You have my sympathy. 1966, Alicia, August 65. Who's the youngins here? I asked this last time. Do we have anyone that graduated in the 90s? Do we have any? I graduated in 1990 to 1995 in here. Born in 82. 96. 99, 98. We've got some youngins in here. 94, 98. How about 2000s and up? I'd be really shocked if we have any 2000s and up. Hey, what's going on, Buffalo? Good to see you, my friend. Thank you so much for the gift, and thank you so much for the comment, dude. How have you been? Hope things are good. But I mean, I love it. So the thing I like about YouTube, I loved our Facebook community. We had 580,000 active users, but it was all of us and us only. YouTube, I'm starting to see those like like exactly like 2001s. I'm starting to see some younger people come in curious. And the reason when I reach out and talk to them is that they're curious. Did you guys really get to be outside all day long, miles from home, and your parents didn't know where you were? Were you really knocking on doors and selling school candy to strangers? Because I made a video where I walk into the damn house. The guy's got a beer and a cigarette in his hand, needed to go in order to get a check. And I remember that happening and following him in. The fact that we ended up on some milk cartons isn't the question. The fact that we didn't end up on all the milk cartons should be the question. I don't get it. It wasn't a safer time. People like to pretend. I promise you it wasn't. Looking at the statistics, there were more serial killers. There were so many serial killers when we were growing up that they started running out of nicknames. So it wasn't safer. It was just they didn't know. They didn't know what they didn't know. But kids are really curious. And I think we owe it to them to be open and to accept them and to say, okay, I get what your thing is. Here's what our thing was. And being okay with it. I love inviting them in. If you guys have got kids, get them to open up the channel. Get them to check it out. Oh, Beerfoot, thank you so much for becoming a member. And guys, if you see that, it's really not a lot. What it is I spend an inordinate amount of time making content. And that's my choice. You owe it to me not at all for the decision that I made to make content. But it does take an inordinate amount of time for me every week. If you notice, I put multiple videos up a day, and they're not just cut and paste. I put them together, and the people that join as members are just trying to support me, and I really, really appreciate it. Love you, man, too, Michael. We sell magazines door to door. I didn't sell Did anybody sell Grit? Wirehead, thank you so much. Gen X Avengers. That Gen X Avengers came up from the first video I ever made. It was on TikTok. And I was talking to him about a conversation I'd had with my then 18-year-old daughter. And she came right out and said, what makes you think us Gen Xers are so tough? And she talked about the greatest generation and the silent generation. And they went through wars and famine and depression and all that stuff. And I was kind of joking. But I said, yeah, they did. And that stuff was understandably hard. What made us tough was the stuff that shouldn't have been hard. Kelly, thank you so much for joining the Honorary Xers. The thing that makes Gen X different is we had things, thank you, Irish Lover. We had things that shouldn't have been hard and they were hard. Yes, war is hard. Yes, depression is hard. Famine, hard. Everybody knows those things that are hard. But playgrounds shouldn't be hard. Cartoons you watch shouldn't be hard. The things that every other childhood got to look at and expect to be comforting and nice were created to kill us, to thin our herd, to weed out our weak. We are a Darwin generation. We were a great experiment. I realized today that the cars when we were young had the hump and modern cars don't. Never realized that before. Grandpa, what do you mean the hump? In the back seat, is that what you're remembering? Because I don't remember the hump. I remember sometimes in the back seat there was a division, right, where there's a hump. Is that what you mean? Schoolhouse Rock. We had to sell some school candles. I sold candles. I sold popcorn. I sold wrapping paper. Back seat of the Pinto. Yeah, okay, I am right. In the back. I remember that. Becky, welcome to the Gen X men, Gen X women. Guys, I can't tell you how much I appreciate this. I love what I'm doing. Me taking the hit on Facebook knocked the wind out of my sails, big time. And coming on here and seeing almost 500 of you in this room really makes me happy. It's from front wheel drive and rear wheel drive, hump between the seats. Yep, I do remember that. Okay. Yeah, the hump wasn't the only thing we had to worry about the Pinto. Oh my gosh, Doreen, thank you for that. Thank you, Amy. Good evening from Northern Ireland. I see you. How you doing, Roger? I think what we're doing is important, though. I really, really do. And if you can't hear the passion in my voice, I promise you it's there. There's so much that I think we bring to the table, and no hate to the boomers that follow me. I've got a lot of boomers that follow me, and when they're not telling me that everything I'm talking about was theirs and not ours, when they're not doing that, they're actually pretty cool. But they're from one generation before all this stuff. And the millennials, I love them to death, but the youngest of the millennials are also from one type of generation. They're post-tech. Us and the elder millennials, and maybe the younger boomers, we bridged the gap between yesterday and tomorrow. That kind of massive change to hit one generation. And it wasn't just tech. First generation experienced divorce on a huge scale as kids. Hyde Park Ninjas, how are you, Mike? Good to see you, brother. Thank you for joining up, man. Kids affected by divorce for the first time. Before we came along, mothers that divorced fathers were called, it was shunned. But it became something that was, if it's right for you, do it. We pioneered that difficulty. Women working en masse in the workplace. Yes, some boomers' parents worked, both of them, but not the norm. So many things changed for us. Talking trash and truths. Thank you for joining, and thank you for an awesome name. And advertisers and politicians paying attention to us. More one than the other, if I'm being honest, statistically speaking. Politicians have largely ignored Generation X because we also were the first generation to become strongly disillusioned as kids. Prior to the whole Nixon debacle, the media and the politicians kind of had this deal where you'll look the other way for me. Think John F. Kennedy. Nixon broke that. So we grew up in an era. Thank you so much, Wirehead. I remember we had rumble seats in the 76 Royal Monaco station wagon. Dude, didn't even have seatbelts. My dad cut our seatbelts out. But yeah, we didn't trust our politicians from birth because Vietnam broke trust, because Nixon broke trust. And we just grew up disillusioned. And as a result, even if we tried to rock the vote, which was MTV really trying to get us out, number one, we were the smallest generation in a millennia. And number two, we were really apathetically disillusioned. But marketers came after us hard. Our cartoons were nothing more than 30-minute long commercials. I am sweating my butt off. Remind me never to mow the lawn before coming on again. Hello, Tanya. But yeah, do you guys remember those cartoons? How about like G.I. Joe, Transformers, He-Man, Superpowers? When we were little, we had this Super Friends, which was just a cartoon about superheroes. My younger brother and younger Gen Xers will remember the Superpowers Super Friends. And they were completely patterned after toys. There was a Superpowers toy. Michelle McDaniel, thank you so much. You are amazing. Guys, thank you so much. He-Man and She-Ra, and if you're a young Gen Xer, He-Man, She-Ra, Man-E-Faces. There was his Wildcat. Was that the name? Just so many memories. But Johnny Quest, Robbius, there was no toy line. Space Ghost, there was no toy line. Scooby-Doo, Tom and Jerry, no toy line. But then we came along and the new cartoons for us, there were a million Smurfs you could buy. G.I. Joe went from being one action figure to an entire team that we could buy. Even our movies, Star Wars. How many of you guys... Oh, Man-E-Faces was awesome. Battle Cat, thank you. Man-E-Faces was cool because you could take his head and there was a knob on top and he'd go from good to bad. Now, Stacy, Battle of the Planets, two things about Battle of the Planets. Number one, it was another example of a Casey Kasem voice. He was the voice of Mark in that. Tricked a lot of people off. Every time they would scream that Trump is lying, I would reply with, well, he's a politician. Listen, I avoid politics at all costs. I will say I agree with you in the sense that politicians lie. There's very little to say beyond that. But he played the voice of Mark, number one. Number two, there was no toy line, and I so desperately wanted one. If I could have gotten one of those Battle of the Planets, some of you guys remember it as G-Force, but it was the coolest ship because inside the big ship, they all had their own little mode of transportation. Mark had a plane. Jason had a plane. Mark had a motorcycle. They were just so cool. I got your point, Grandpa's Place. Absolutely agree with you, my friend. No more Looney Tunes. The problem, Casey Kasem was incredible. If there's a voice of a generation. Rusty, Captain Planet thoughts? I was older when Planet came along. I was probably in my teens, kind of getting towards the end of... That's the thing with Gen X, man. Our sitting in front of the cartoons on Saturday morning ended, and it backed directly up. No space between it. Drinking Mad Dog and passing out in the field. So for me, Captain Planet was probably... just at the end of Fruity Pebbles on the floor watching Saturday morning cartoons and the beginning of Boone's Farm, Mad Dog, telling my mom I'm at Brian's when I'm actually binge drinking at 13 years old, passed out in the middle of the field somewhere. So that was it. Under Ultraman, I never saw. I hear a lot about it. I got to check it out. Rubik's Cube Powers. I remember there's a Rubik's Cube cartoon, but again, it was a commercial. My role models were Princess Leia and... missed it so fast. Sheesh. But yeah, Casey Kasem, there was nothing better than his long distance dedications. Just that voice. Sheila says the quantity of live video is so much better here than Facebook. Is it really? That makes me really happy. The quality of everything, if I'm being honest, is better here. And it took my 12-year-old to give me a Gen X era no duh, because YouTube is built on content. Facebook isn't. So this really probably could have, should have always been the home of all this stuff. It's just, that's where I grew first. Silver Spoons, TV show's awesome. Rick Dees was a better DJ. Maybe. I think Casey Kasem was a better storyteller, and that's why we gravitated to him. I didn't think of Casey Kasem as a DJ so much as a storyteller. Wolfman Jack, probably the better DJ. But again, Casey was just a friend that we spent every Sunday with. And he took us from the number 40 to number 1. And we were able to record our favorite songs because we couldn't afford to buy them all. And we knew what was coming. And more than most, he tried not to step on them all the time. Shadow Stevens, I remember Shadow. Facebook is turning into nothing but ads and spammers. Anytime I had a post do even reasonably well, then there were fake versions of me in the context, in the comment section. Just so much spam. And that's what's frustrating the invaders. The frustration is Mork and Mindy that my account got blocked for being fraudulent, and yet the spam accounts are everywhere. Did I watch Soul Train? I definitely watched Soul Train, and I watched Bandstand. Christine, how are you? A very special episode. All our sitcoms had those very special episodes. Well, Laura, I'm glad you finally made it. Dr. Demento, Buck Rogers of the 25th Century. I didn't quit drugs, they quit me. Solid Gold was awesome. Headbangers Ball, awesome. American Graffiti, gotta watch it again. It's been too long. After school specials helped raise us. We were raised on equal parts after school specials, NBC, The More You Know public service announcements, and Schoolhouse Rock. Those three things probably taught me more than anything I learned in actual school. How you doing, Pearl? I see you. Francis, how are you? Battlestar Galactica, cheers. Do you want somebody put Wonder Years? Can I ruin your day? I'm about to ruin all of y'all's day. On my live the other day, and I'm trying to get the dates right, but I think this is it. So the Wonder Years came out in like 89. And it went back a certain number of years portraying life in the 60s, right? Through the Vietnam War era. If somebody came up with the idea of Wonder Years today and wanted to throw Arnold back, the Arnolds, Kevin, the same number of years, then the Wonder Years would have been based in 2004-ish. 2004-ish. Crazy to me. There's no way late 60s, early 70s is equal to that kind of difference. And I'll fight anyone who says it will. Why do you want to hurt us? Who hurt me? Well, they hurt me, so I'm hurting you too. It's not that it makes us feel old. It doesn't make me feel old. It makes me disagree with the math. There's no way that the difference between 1970 and 1990 is the same as 2004 and today. It's just not. That's just cruel. Love WKRP in Cincinnati. We're only as old as we let ourselves be. How does a bill become a law? I learned that. How about the preamble to the Constitution? How many of you were able to do that in school because of Schoolhouse Rock? 2004 was yesterday. So my math is this. 2000 was like a week ago. 1990 was like 10 years ago. 1980 was 20 years ago. And 1970 was 30 years ago. That's my perception of math. And I'm not trying to be funny. That's what it feels like. Recited it by singing it. Me too. We the people, in order to form a more perfect union. I'm 58 and the 80s can't be 40 years ago. The 80s are almost 50 years ago. It's getting there. 1936 to 1980 is the same as I hate you, Deb. Darb? Sevens? Whatever. That was just mean. That was just mean. That was just mean. When was the last time I lied? When was the last time I lied? You know, I'll be honest. Whenever somebody says I'll be honest, they're about to lie. But truthfully, I think there's not much I need to lie about in my life at this point in time. I don't remember the last time I lied. Maybe if my kids asked me how much I drank. Hey, Dad, did you ever drink and drive regularly? Did you get stoned? Did you have adult relations before the age of 16? I probably would lie about some of that. But I mean, I might lie every day, but not much. What about lying to your parents? Lying to our parents was a rite of passage. I think the fact that I don't give my kids the opportunity to successfully lie to me is hurting their childhood development. I truly believe that. Telling my parents I wasn't somewhere or telling them I was somewhere I wasn't, seeing that look in their eyes and realizing they know that I'm lying, and then my mind working so quickly to try to come up with a second lie to cover up the first lie and just move on the fly and make those changes and switch things back and forth. And then ultimately, when you know there's no hope, you just give it in and you take the pain, you take the consequence, you take the beating, you take the grounding. I mean, so much is learned from that. So much. When you got busted saying you're spending the night at Jenny's and you were really out by the lake or with that boy or girl or at that party, when you climbed out the window and my mom was waiting for me in my bed, I climbed out my bedroom window, climbed back in, closed the window, lay into my bed and felt her nails dig into my arm. And I swear to you, I lost good 10 years of my life in that moment. But it taught me something. Who shot JR? That would be Kristen, Sue Ellen's sister. You take the good, you take the bad, you take them all, and there you have the facts of life. But yeah, my kids can't lie to me like that. I know where they are at all times. But I can't ignore technology that exists that can keep my kids safe. I just can't. I can't turn off Life 360. I mean, I know I can. I won't. My wife won't let me. Don't know what you're talking about. Yeah, you do, Patty. I wasn't smoking, Mom. It was the girl in the car. That one, the kids are still trying to get away with. I saw a vape in my daughter's room, and the first thing she said was, "It's not mine, it's a friend's." I was holding it for a friend so they wouldn't get in trouble. And where have you been? No, the bone-chilling moment was my dad asked me how school was on a day I skipped. Because if your parents are like my parents, it wasn't leave it to Beaver. I didn't come home and have my parents be like, "So how was school, dear?" They didn't ask. They were at work. They came home. That was it. But when my dad said, "So," and my parents were Greek, "How was school today?" Just your blood ran cold. You knew, but you didn't know. You thought you knew. So you had to take a shot, and you're like, "It was okay." Can you get a shout out? Absolutely, Vitality Gaming. You can get a shout out. Talking Trash says, "My kids can't get away with anything. Tell them whatever you're thinking. I've already gotten away with it twice." But we have a lot more tools, so our kids can't. They can't cut class. The app will tell us they're not there. The Facts of Life by valedictorian at my graduation quoted it. That's awesome. Hi, my name is Gina. I am Gen X and new to the channel and chat. Nice to meet you, Gina. We refuse to let them do what we did because we know better. It's not weed, it's oregano. I just hit 500 viewers. Oh, shit, I did just hit 500 viewers on the chat. Thank you. It's oregano. No such thing as leave it to Beaver when we grew up. You have a good one too, buddy. Good seeing you. Rose Lady. Lawn darts. Hey, nice to meet you, Frances. Gen Xer here as well. Thank you, guys. You have nice eyes. I appreciate it, Olivia. I promise you they're a strange mutation because no one else in my family has blue eyes. Paige Franklin. Love you. Thank you. Brother, where's the HVAC system? I was just telling everybody else, I mowed the lawn right before coming on, and I showered. But my system will not cool down. Jarts were awesome, Mike. Thing about jarts is we played chicken. We would launch them into the air, and then we would all just stay there heads down. And if you looked, you lost. Now, I'll be the first to admit I lost a lot, but I didn't take a jart to the head. So lose and be smart, win and have a gaping hole in your head. I took the former, not the laugh. Oh, I'm glad I make you laugh. I appreciate that. Love them Bills. Are you in an attic room? No, it's the air conditioning is on 70. I'm going to drop it down a bit. Give me a minute. It's something like 98 degrees outside, and although it's cool in here, I was mowing the lawn and it just ramped up my internal temperature. So I just dropped it down. 77 degrees where you are. God bless. I just dropped the air conditioning to 70 to see if it'll get down there. Did you hate your life? I didn't. I loved everything about my life. Well, everything in the norm. Humidity sucks. Takes me a while to cool down. I've never really... This is new to me. Usually showering brings it right down, and I took a cold shower. But Yeah, no, it kept me heated. Here's a little help for that AC bill. God bless. Thank you so much. Yeah, it's going to be high this month. Batman figure of the wing cape is awesome. Any chance you can show it to the camera? Sure. This one came with a PlayStation 3 game. It was a collectible that came on it, and I think it's pretty damn cool. So it's got the original bat symbol, and he's on a gargoyle. Pretty cool. And then I got Kingdom Come Superman. Got a little Batman Funko Pop. And I had more, but I think my 12-year-old absconded with them, and they're up in her room. Yeah, I grew up reading comic books. Blue and the Gray version is cool. I still have my original Star Wars figures. I wish I did. I had all of them. And when I mean all of them, I think pretty much all of them. And if you guys remember, you had the Darth Vader head box that had the slots. Hey, Chris. And I would keep them all in there. Goonies Never Say Die, right there. Do I have Gremlins? Not yet. Started reading comics in 77. Comics are the reason I was a strong reader. Part of the wooden spoon survivor and the Kutala, which is the wooden spoon. Where in Buffalo did I go to school? I went to University of Buffalo. I grew up in Western New York, but outside of Rochester. But I went to college at UB. We are all Goonies. Every single one of us. Ewok Tree Village, very cool. C-3PO light switch, very, very cool. Darth Vader I remember we had one of those giant figures. Remember, there were two. I had the Luke Skywalker with the grappling hook, and then there was a Darth Vader with the flowing cape. What was my major? English education, political science. We had a seance one night, and we thought that what we would do is we would take some Lysol, and we sprayed a ring of Lysol on the back porch of a neighbor's house, put Darth Vader in the middle, grabbed a bunch of those smoke bombs you could buy at any one of those 5 and dimes that just had little smoke coming out of them. We put Darth Vader in the middle of the circle. We positioned the smoke bombs, and we lit the flame and had a seance. And when I tell you something happened and that got out of control fast, we didn't summon any dead spirits. We were shooting for the ghost of Elvis. We ended up getting our neighbor coming out of the house with a broom, and she beat the tar out of all of us. Greek restaurant named Olympia is still in Buffalo. I think it is, if I remember the one you're talking about, but I thought it was South Buffalo. Did you guys have seances as kids? That was like a big deal. We tried to raise the ghost of JFK. We tried to raise the ghost of Elvis. We played with Ouija boards. Do you guys remember light as a feather, stiff as a board? We were so into that stuff. Oh, it is still there. All right, my friend Mike says Olympia is still there. For me, the Greek restaurants in Buffalo were Panos, which was like a little dive place. And there was like only 1, 2, 3, 4 booths and a counter, but it was awesome. And then we spent a lot of time at the town restaurant too. Kids these days will never understand a good no game. Kids today will never understand a good. Ashley, thank you first of all, but I don't get that. Give me a follow-up. We played Ghost in the Graveyard in the graveyards. Ouija board scared me too, Cindy. Seances were awesome. British Bulldog. I think, Kelly, your British Bulldog was our Red Rover. Yeah, Panos was a double-decker, Mike. He sold it. He doesn't own that one anymore. I did hear that the pink burnt down. Crushed about that. I didn't go there a lot because my brother owned a bar at the same time and I was bartending in it. But on my nights off, I'd head that way. Anybody remember Glow Paint stayed over to friends without him, drew all over his room? British Bulldog was more aggressive than Red Rover. I'll take your word for it. Straight tackle game. Parents don't tell their children no. Now I got what you're saying. I don't know. I still tell my kids no. My neighbors still tell their kids no. I think we tell them less. If I'm being 100% honest, we might tell our kids yes a little more often on some things and a lot less often on others. Late nights playing D&D. I wasn't a huge D&D person. I should have been. I was a dork, but never really did. Dodgeball was not fun. Snipe hunts, absolutely. The movie Christine messed with me hard. For me, it was It. and Salem's Lot. And it was more the books than the movies. Tell my 6-year-old no all the time. That's what I mean. Our parents didn't necessarily tell us yes, guys. I don't remember my parents being big yes people, but this shirt pretty much says it all. Generation X, parental attention was withheld. We didn't get told anything. We did, it's the F around and find out, right? We weren't given permission to do something. We did it, and if we got in trouble, that was the find out part. Salem's Lot scared the crap out of me. Why am I weak? Huh? My parents weren't around enough to ask them. Love the shirt. Thanks. It's one of mine. You can go to Redbubble, Gen X, Jono, Redbubble, and get a whole bunch. Pet Cemetery hated it. The book fucked with me big time. We had to decide. You mean you asked? Who was there? There was no one to ask. Had the grandkids. Now it's going way too fast. Holy moly, it's going fast. I'm trying. Cujo gave me nightmares. Cool cap. Thank you. It's probably one of my oldest and favorite hats. It's starting to go. Somebody told me I can get this fixed. I just might try. Kids at the... Wow, the chat is racing. It really is. And you got to give me props. 54, I'm not wearing readers. Have I ever been to Oswego? Absolutely. I grew up in Wolcott, New York, about 30 minutes west of Oswego. Would go hang out there quite a bit. Just bought a shirt. Thank you. I appreciate that. Scroll up and go at your own speed. But yeah, then I feel like I'm missing something. My OCD won't allow me to do that. I'll just keep up. Legends of Billy Jack. I remember Legends of Billie Jean. It's 10 o'clock. Do you know where your children are? You know what's funny about that? For Buffalo, Mike, if you're still on here, you'll probably remember this. For those of us in Western New York, it's 11 o'clock. Do you know where your children are? It always came on right before the nightly news. And for us, our nightly news started at 11. So that gave us an extra hour to run around without our parents asking. Dude, I appreciate that, Rachel. Thank you. Yep, Mike agrees, 11 o'clock. Yeah, it was on Channel 7, if I remember right. What year did The Omen come out? Not sure. Don't fix the hat gives it character. I'm likely to agree. Listen, I'd say I'm going to do it. I'm not gonna. I remember it was 11 p.m. I love your content. Thank you, Sarah. Appreciate it. You can slow down comments on YouTube. But then I feel like there's a backlog. If I slow them down, then in my mind, there's like 40 that are supposed to be in front of me that aren't. And that would bother me because that's just me. Also, part of the reason why I can obsess the way I do on the channel and keep new content coming. Good to find you. Good to be found. Thank you. Omen was early to mid-70s. 73, somebody said. Somebody said 2006 something, and that was a remake. No hide and seek. We played Manhunt. Billy Carter, Billy Beer. I was very young, but I remember a little bit of that. National Anthem at midnight. Thank you. I see someone said, I love your channel. My babysitter read me It Is a Bedtime Story. That is an evil person. I miss Facebook Live. Doing our best to do it here. Hope it feels the same for you. Some have said that it's looking a little better than Facebook did. I will tell you this. If we had 350 to 550 people in Facebook, we'd break it. Perfectionist much? Just a little bit. Call me a millennium? Definitely not. You're doing something fantastic. It does look better. Good, I'm glad. Listen, we'll get it all going. City pool after closing. The thing I loved about pools was we didn't have a pool. But we didn't. Do you guys ever do pool hopping? Where you would just go from pool to pool in the neighborhood? Not necessarily asking permission. Joy, welcome to the Honorary Xers. Thank you so much, Joy. Yeah, pool hopping was awesome. We would just all get together and just do a sprint through backyards and just jump from one pool. And it wasn't hanging out in the pool. You would jump into the pool, go to the other side, jump out, and keep running. And there were more than a few times, and we did it at night too. There were more than a few times when we would do it and there would be people in the pool, and that was just more fun. Got chased out of pools. Me and my friends broke into the city pool. Stick together. Love that. Could you guys imagine hopping a pool now? I don't know if I could. I think I could. Maybe. Maybe not. Remember TPing houses? Yeah, I do. And I remember Christmas around the whole COVID mess. My daughter wanted a toilet paper houses in our neighborhood, and I told her I would no. I'm like, I couldn't find toilet paper. I'm like, you're not wasting it in a tree. I said, I'm this close from just going neighborhood to neighborhood looking if I can find some, take it down from the tree, and keep it for us. Yeah, not here in Arizona. Everybody had fences. Well, unless they were electrified, people had fences where we were too. We just hopped the fence before we hopped the into the pool. Might get shot pool hopping nowadays. Depends on where you are. We play manhunt here in South Carolina. And I remember a bunch of my daughter's friends came to visit us, and we had a huge neighborhood manhunt. And the kids came downstairs dressed up to go play, and they were dressed head to toe in black. And some of them blacked out their faces. And I said, you're going to get shot. I'm like, you guys need to wear the brightest clothes possible if you're going to play manhunt in people's yards in South Carolina. You will not survive it. So I made them go up, take the black face off, just the grease. You know what I'm talking about, the grease paint, and the black clothes, dark clothes. I'm like, no. That if you look like you're trying to hide when you go into someone's yard, it's not going to end well. Hell, I no, just don't do it. So I had them all wear like neon 80s colors and go out there and have fun. Glad I live in Canada. Eye black, just like the grease paint. Mind if I drop in and make fun of you for a while? Have at it. Never a problem. Multiple generations in the same house, one generation per floor. That's pretty cool. Egging cars at night. We never egged cars. We had egg wars where we would take shaving cream and eggs and just have at it against each other, but we didn't really go after property. BMX or Huffy? For me, it was Huffy. Hills at a 35-degree angle on a BMX. Remember ringing doorbells? Yeah, that's my point from earlier. Kids can't do that. We called it ding-dong ditch. Kids can't do that. I'll see them coming. My ring doorbell will let me know before they ever get to the door. Security lights, ruined manhunt, same thing. Prank phone calls, ruined. There's no phone to call. And if you call somebody's cell phone, well, we all get spam calls so much we don't answer if we can't see the number and know it. Flaming poop game, ruined. Were you a 3-pump or more? 3-pump. 3-pump jump when playing BB gun wars. Had a hard rule. 4 pumps on the air rifle meant that it broke skin. Best Ninja Turtle. I think Raphael had the sai. I thought that was pretty cool. Donatello, if I'm remembering correctly, had the bow staff. I can't believe I might even know this. I like the reach of the bow staff, so I think I might have to go with Donatello. BB guns loaded with toothpicks. Never did that. Hanging out at the stoop until the sun came up. We all talk about the streetlights, right? How we played until the streetlights came on. What I absolutely loved in the summertime was the street, for me, in a small town. I grew up in a very small town. My parents knew everybody. Everybody knew us. The streetlight rule was null and void during summers. We could stay out past midnight. If my parents went to bed, the door was just unlocked. We let ourselves in. We didn't wake them up. I mean, for kids, I can't imagine that they could even fathom the amount of freedom to be out at 12:30 at night. Be respectful. Do some stupid stuff for sure. But for the most part, be respectful. Be out there. Be playing. Be unattended. Be unwatched at like 13 years old. And come home and put yourself to, it's just an amazing amount of freedom that I wish I was ignorant enough to be able to allow my kids that level of freedom. I can't, because I know now what my parents didn't know then, that there is no safe neighborhood. How do I reply to a specific person? Wish I could tell you. I think if you hold their name, it'll at them, and you can do it that way. I'm not on that side of it to know. We were always alone, except when we weren't. I don't know anyone who was out at midnight with parental permission at age 13. Well, like I said, I grew up in when I say one traffic light town, that traffic light it was a 4-way stop. It was a very small town, and we stayed in our neighborhood. So now you do know somebody who stayed outside at midnight without parental permission because it was okay. We weren't alone. We were in a large pack. It was me and my 2 brothers, Kristen, Wendy, and Kimberly Parker. Those were 3 girls that lived next door, approximately the same ages. And I was 13, but my older brother was 16, and we were with him. The Parkers, the Wagners, the Krasukis, the Perennies, these were all families that grew up together. And when we say we grew up alone, yeah, our parents might not have been around, but somebody's was always close. The retired people standing at the door. I remember this one woman was always at her door. And as a kid, I'm like, wow, she's nosy. She was keeping an eye on us. The woman never, ever interrupted, interfered, nothing, but she was just watching. And somebody was always watching. It was an amazing way to grow up. So yeah, I'm going to have to disagree with you. You know one. It was, if not more. If you read the comments, I'm sure you'll see more. In the summer, we had true freedom. Absolutely. There it is. Now I see you guys were playing. My parents bought... Damn it, too fast. Which character would I be in the movie My Big Fat Greek Wedding? No, I guess I'm probably almost as old as the dad. God help me. Maybe the son. Can I be that? I think he's our age. But the funny thing is my Big Fat Greek Wedding is I'm 100% Greek and so is my wife. So we had it on both sides. In Canada, Gen Y grew up the same. I think a lot of older millennials would say the same thing here. Always out past midnight as a kid. I was served in a bar at age 12. Okay. Well, my parents owned a bar when I was 12. So I got served. They just didn't know it. The Windex. How are you doing? I'm doing great, Andrew. How are you? What do I think of Zennials? Listen, I don't think badly of any generation. I'm an older millennial, so you'd be that Zennial. I think one of two things is happening. Either someone in a generation relates to what we talk about, in which case we have commonality and that's good, or they don't relate to what we're talking about, and then we can have a discussion comparing and understanding each other, which is also good. So it's fine. I'll make fun of Gen Z lightly on my page if the very loud minority that is just in any generation. But Gen Z seems to be really quick. When they're out of their mind crazy, those are the ones that love to pick up their phone and point it at their face. So I'll make fun of them with the caveat that I understand it's a very loud minority. I don't think that's all of them. Go Bills. I love Stranger Things because it's the Goonies, Stephen King. Absolutely love it. Gen Z just doesn't understand Gen X. I think a lot of them do. I really do. Because I have Gen Z kids. What liquor stores were just when liquor stores were just corner shops, helicopter parents. I was a helicopter parent with my oldest kid, not gonna lie. I'll own it. We backed off a little with our youngest. You don't know what you don't know. You just do your best and you hope. We wanted to make up for some of what we thought we missed as kids, and then realized that some of the stuff we missed was actually the best thing that ever happened to us. So I'll own that. Bratz, I just saw Bratz this week. Wasn't impressed. Gotta be honest, Andrew McCarthy came off as a bit whiny to me. For those, I mean, and I mean that without any hate. He seemed really, really whiny to me. Like, dude, okay, and remember that whole adage, any attention is good attention? Everybody around the Brat Pack wished they were in the Brat Pack. And he was just whining about it the whole time. I loved Rob Lowe. Rob Lowe was like, what are you talking about? You know, he's coming to Rob Lowe and crying about all this stuff. And Rob Lowe's like, I liked it. It was good. I mean, yeah, the Brat Pack, I thought it was cool. They were comparing us to generations before. And so I liked it. I mean, I found him whiny. I loved Rob Lowe. We swung the pendulum extremely. I think every generation does, which is why I hope for some of the younger Gen Z and for Alpha. Maybe it'll swing back. St. Elmo's Fire, one of my favorites. Anthony Michael Hall, strangely missing from Bratz. He didn't pick up the phone. Judd Nelson didn't pick up the phone. Molly Ringwald, neither. New Jersey, your grandma sat at windows watching all the kids. And you acted accordingly. Or you didn't, and then you paid the price. Millennial, here I wasn't allowed to get soccer boppers. I love those things. Those things were licensed to beat the hell out of each other. And I got to tell you, why do I wear a hat? Because I'm sweating so profusely from mowing the lawn that my hair is plastered to my head right now. I'm not wearing a hat in all my videos, but I will not take one off today. Molly Ringwald just slopped off her movies and fans. She backpedaled a little. Molly Ringwald came out and said she had some issues with Breakfast Club as it was written, given today's perspectives. Okay. She went a little hard on that. Now she's backing off. I put my bro through a door with those. Yeah, dude, those were the reasons. We just absolutely had every reason to be able to haul off. It's like pillow fights. We would take the pillow, smush it down to the very, like I've watched my kids pillow fight. They grab it from the sides and hit each other. And I'm like, that's not how you pillow fight. The way you pillow fight is I saw that it was the 40th anniversary of Karate Kid. The way you pillow fight is you take the pillow, you smush the pillow part of the pillow all the way down so that it encompasses only about 15 to 20% of the actual pillowcase. Then you wind up the pillowcase and you swing it like a wrecking ball. That's how you have a pillow fight. I've watched Breakfast Club at least 20 times. I agree. Ralph Macchio looks ridiculous today, but he's always looked young. I have a video on my page somewhere that shows an interview from him when he turned 30. And he was talking about how maybe when he's 60, he'll look his age. And what's funny is now he's in his 60s and he still doesn't look his age. 16 Candles, do not take my Gen X card. Never saw it. I don't know why. I always thought 16 Candles was more of a chick flick when I was actually at that point in time. It was like 16 Candles. What was Molly Ringwald's other one? 16 Candles. Pretty in Pink. Never saw either. I need to see them both. I know. Never saw 16 Candles either. Chick flick. That's what I thought. People say it's good now. People say I really missed out. I will watch it. I will take a look at it. One of these days, I want to see if I can do a live screening, like of a movie, and we all get together and watch at the same time. Revenge of the Nerds, Teen Witch, Irish Lover. I got to tell you, man. I just saw your comment. Can I borrow your underpants? And I forgot that was a quote. I was like, I don't know how to answer that. Especially because it's borrow. I mean, you can have them, but to borrow them, nah. But yeah, now I know what you were talking about. It's a movie quote. Watch them with your daughters. Yeah, but I get burnt with that. Every time I try to watch a movie that I think is perfectly acceptable for my memories, based on my memories of watching them as a kid, younger than they are now, I'll watch the movie and my wife will walk in going, "What the hell are you thinking?" Because the movies aren't as innocent as we remember them. You can do it on Discord. Do I have a server? I've got a Discord username, so maybe I'll look into that. But yeah, I was watching, so PG movies, right? PG. What could be so wrong? Airplane was a PG movie. I was watching it with my 12-year-old. Big mistake. I couldn't turn it off fast enough. I do remember 3 O'Clock High. Jaws was PG. Exactly. And they were fornicating on the beach after getting stoned and drinking, and then skinny dipping, and then getting eaten alive. PG. I speak jive. No, the best is the most horrible best part. I finally turned off Airplane when the little boy was bringing the coffee to the little girl on the plane. Blue Lagoon was R. I'm almost sure it was at least R. I mean, it was at least PG-13. I think it might have been R. I think R existed. I don't know. I have to look it up. What else was PG? A lot of things that shouldn't have been. But again, parental attention was withheld, so no one stopped us. What rating was Blue Lagoon? I'm thinking PG-13. Let's see. Why don't we ask the Google? What rating was Blue Lagoon? The Google is coming up and it says it's giving me reviews. I didn't want a review. R. Blue Lagoon was R. Yep, don't be a puppet. It's R. But the crazy thing about Blue Lagoon is that if Brooke Shields went to see the movie that she was in, she wasn't old enough to see it. She was, I think, 16 when she made Blue Lagoon. That's why there had to be body doubles in scenes where you saw this area. It wasn't her. But yeah, how crazy is that? She would not have been old enough to have been to see the movie she made. And he was like 21. So then again, 80s, I don't know what to say. Judge us if you wish. That's the world we grew up in. Trading Places. I just saw Trading Places again. I tried to see it with my 20-year-old daughter. And even at 20, I'm like, okay, I can't do this. Endless Love, I remember that. Didn't see it back then. Back then it was acceptable. I try to tell kids today, listen, we're not pretending we were right, but we're acknowledging that that's the way it was. And we don't want any of you to change it. We don't want you to go in and change the movies and erase parts of it because listen, this is the way the movie was back then. Don't judicate the past with today's eyes. Choose not to watch the movie. Choose, I guess, to remake the movie differently, but leave the original alone as it was. And they're even putting warning labels on the Porky Pigs, the Bugs Bunny, the Tom and Jerry. There's like warnings before the cartoon starts saying, tobacco scenes and things like that. Okay, I guess it's for a different generation, but leave it alone. Outsiders, unbelievable movie. Couldn't agree more. I got the placard right there. Han Solo shot first. Married with Children. Oh my God, could not be done today. Red Dawn 1986. Red Dawn was actually the first movie to carry the PG-13. Fact. My Bodyguard. Eric Stoltz was another person in Pretty in Pink, totally overlooked. Eric Stoltz, for those that don't know, it was Marty McFly before Michael J. Fox was Marty McFly. I'm sure you guys all probably know that. Fairly well known, I think. You can even see some of his stuff on YouTube now before they recast him. Smiling and laughing so much at these comments. Thank you all for this. Dude, this is as much an AOL chat room as it is me. I'm just reading these right along with you guys sometimes. I love that you guys are so active in the chat. And for those that have done the super chat tonight, those of you guys that have joined as members, those of you guys that I don't know how else to put it, gifted or tipped, as we're coming up on the hour right now, I do want to acknowledge it. It's nothing I ever asked for, but I appreciate it. And it does add up, and it truly does make a difference. So those of you that have taken the time to come in tonight, thank you. Those that have joined as members, thank you. Those that have donated money through gifts, I can't thank you guys enough. Jono. ICQ shutting down soon. I would have thought it was shut down. Love your content. Thank you. I appreciate it. Michelle, thank you for joining the Xers. Grease was great. Grease 2, not so much. I'll fight you on that. Loved your stop short. That was fun. I love doing, so somebody's talking about the stop short was a video I did at work today. And again, thank you for subbing. Guys, if you haven't already, yes, subscribe to the page, to the channel. When you subscribe, you can set up your notifications. Make sure you're alerted when we go live so that you don't miss it. But Grease 2 was just fun. It was a different movie. But I still liked it. And he was a cool writer. Fight me. I loved Grease 2. Spaceballs might be getting remade, guys. Oh, thank you so much, Poor Vagrant. That wasn't begging on my part, I promise. I just want to acknowledge you guys. Who else watched Sha-Na Na? Absolutely. Millennial, not Gen X. Still welcome, dude. Everybody's welcome. Any news on the 3-view mirror? Kind of knocked the wind out of my sails with the whole Facebook thing. Bridget, thank you so much. I absolutely love you guys for loving the channel. But it's not dead. It's just delayed. I did, if you guys want to check out a podcast, if you go to my channel, along the top, you'll see things like videos and shorts. There's actually, here on YouTube, a spot for podcasts. So while you're working out or on a commute, if you just want to listen, me and 2 of my friends have a podcast, and I've pushed it out here. You can see it on the 3-View Mirror Podcast YouTube page, which is in my link tree, but you can hear it here if you want to catch up on old episodes. Did you watch anime in the 80s? A little bit. More into comic books, like actual superhero stuff was my thing. I do want to see Fall Guy. Me too. Great stream. Awesome. Thank you so much. I got to run too, guys. Definitely this one. I'm working. Man from Atlantis. Of course I remember it. Patrick Duffy. Patrick Duffy fucked up his feet on that show. He did an interview once. He played the part of like an Aquaman on this Man from Atlantis. And the stuff he had to wear along his toes to create the web total look, I guess totally screwed up his feet. Patrick, thank you so much. Appreciate you, man. Can't do that on television. That was cable. I didn't have cable when I was young enough to really watch it. That didn't come to my town. Thank you for inviting us into your home always, guys. And the one thing I want is we all leave is we all grew up in the same house. We all grew up in the same neighborhood. Some of us more urban, some more rural. Some more ethnic, some less ethnic, some richer, some poorer. And I thank Rochelle all the time, Susan. She is a very good friend to me. Um, but we all grew up. My version of our parents had a Greek accent. Your version, probably not so much. But there is so much more that connects us. And the one thing I want to do every week is remind us of the things that connect us. And let's just start pushing away the little things that divide us. Let it go. This week, you guys are going to get slammed with politics. We all know there's that debate coming. Watch it. Be engaged. That's great. Have an opinion. God love it. Don't hate the people that disagree with you in your lives. Remember, there's so much more that we agree on that we can ever disagree on. And that's one of the biggest parts of being Gen X. We were able to debate. We loved debating, and we still stayed friends. So participate, debate, speak, and at the end of the day, let it go. Finger in the French fries. Yuck. Don't know what that is. Thank you so much, Joseph. I love you guys to pieces. I'll probably go live again earlier in the week. I do a joint TikTok, YouTube live at some point. Other than that, this is the standing time that I'll always be here when I can. Sunday night, 8 p.m. Eastern, same bat time, same bat channel. Remember when you could agree to disagree politically? Yeah, it was 5 seconds ago because I promise you we still can. We just got to bring it back. Thank you again to everybody, and share the page with your friends. I would love for this channel to get half as big as Facebook was. I really would. So thank you. Good night. No politics, please. Yeah, no need. See you next week, if not sooner. Love you guys. Peace. Remember?